our scheduled LAFCO meeting to order, and if you will join in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh my God, you're right. Look at that. I want to be him so badly. Look at that. So good evening, everyone. We'll do an introduction of commissioners and staff, please, starting with Mr. Berryhill.
Yeah, Bill Berryhill, alternate public member.
Terry Withrow, County Member.
Amy Bublak, city member.
Vito Chiesa, County Member.
Javier Camarena, Assistant Executive Officer.
Sarah Lytle-Penny, Executive Officer.
Rob Terrell, LAFCO Council.
Jennifer Vieira, Commission Clerk.
Great. Thank you all for being here. So we have enough people present to hold this meeting. We'll start with our public comment period, and this is a period in which persons may comment on items that are not listed on the regular agenda, and no action will be taken by the commission at this time. I have many cards here, so we will start in order. Annabelle?
Good evening, Chairperson Amy Bublak and Commissioners. I come before you tonight to speak on the Riverwalk Specific Plan application. Living in the unincorporated Park Ridge, Park Heights neighborhood, the Riverwalk Specific Plan is right in our backyard. I am not here because I have the attitude of not in my backyard, opposition. I'm here tonight to speak about climate change, our health and our quality of life that this development will affect. Just a couple of days ago, Secretary Becerra, who is the Secretary of Health and Human Services, I'm nervous tonight.
Oh my
used to sit up
goodness,
there.
right?
He was formerly the California Attorney General, has announced the creation of the Office of Climate Change and Health Equity. This is the first of its kind on a national level to address health equity and climate change. Secretary Becerra said that climate change can no longer be an issue pushed down the road for future generations to address. He says the West is on fire, and states like Tennessee and those in New England are recovering from devastating storms. Like him, I know that America is experiencing climate change, and there's no reason for us to doubt that we must take this on immediately. Whew. This is not only about our climate, it's not just about our environment, it's about our health. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Health Resources and Service Administration, and Department of Transportation will help carry on this mission. On the state level, we have California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and Proposition 65, the Safe Drinking Water and Toxic Enforcement Act of 1986, to help safeguard the public's health and environment. Riverwalk LLC has made application to the City of Riverbank Development Service Department for approval of a general plan amendment, annexation, pre-zone, tentative subdivision map, and development agreement for a specific plan to develop a plus 993 acre mixed-use active adult community on December 16, 2020. As we wait for the draft EIR to be ready for review, I hope you in this commission reach out to those who have voiced opposition to Riverwalk's specific plan so you can hear how your constituents feel.
So Annabelle, I'm sorry, I may have, it wasn't here and I didn't write it, but we now have a timer of 3 minutes.
Can I, one more sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So you can hear how your constituents feel and why they strongly oppose this application. At the end of the day, it is not just about climate change. It is not just about our environment. It is not just about our quality of life. It is about our health. Surely that should be most important to us all, including you. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Jackman.
Wait for my glasses to unfog. Thank you, Mayor Black. Commissioners, I wasn't here in April when Mr. Berryhill got a second appointment to this commission, but I'm concerned that all the commissioners know of his participation in the Riverwalk project at that time? And if so, it really brings into question the whole process, and I just want to throw that out there as a concerned citizen for this LAFCO process, which I find very important. Thank you.
Karen Mitchell.
Good evening, Commissioners. I have lived in Riverbank for almost 30 years now, and I'm here tonight to speak about the proposed Riverwalk development. I will begin by just sharing my infrastructure concerns. When fully built out, the proposed development will have up to 2,400 dwelling units. This means that there will probably be anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 more vehicles on the few arterial roads that are already very busy. I read the plan for expanding parts of existing roads, but it seems really insufficient. I also have concern with regard to the sewer system. Even if the developer pays the full cost of needed upgrades, it will be up to the city of Riverbank to maintain them. What I have discovered is that, at least here in California, most new housing development will negatively affect a city's coffers, in part because of this need to maintain upgrades in infrastructure. This will likely mean that needed future repairs are not handled in a timely manner, or that Riverbank residents will pay higher rates. Sewer and water bills doubled in Riverbank in 2015. I'm also concerned with the health of the Stanislaus River with the proposed new sewer lines and infrastructure. My other infrastructure concern is water. I believe that Riverbank residents and those who will be living in proximity to this development project need to be given a clear, straightforward picture that compares current water usage within the proposed development area with what the future water drawdown will be when the proposed area is fully developed. We also need information on the current groundwater situation and other city water supplies. We seem to be in a prolonged period of dryness and need to plan realistically for a future with more limited water. I have some other concerns in addition to these infrastructure ones. The large bulk of the new dwelling units are envisioned as being single, separate homes, when what is needed is more affordable housing. Even many two-income families struggle to buy a home these days, and there are many single-income situations where working or retired people cannot find a decent, affordable place to live and are having to leave the state. Lastly, the trees, the riparian habitat, and the river all have a cooling, healthy effect on our community. This does not seem to be the time to be cutting down our trees, nor is it the time to be paving over prime farmland when arable land is fast disappearing, not only here in the valley, but also globally. I have some awareness of the state of farming these days and know that the romanticized version of the family farm is the thing of the past. However, people will still have to eat 20, 30 years from now. Food supplies may dwindle, and new forms of local small-scale farming may need to be reinvented to feed people. Thank you for your consideration.
Jennifer Whetstone.
Thank you very much for hearing us. I was born in Oakdale. I was raised in Escalon, where I lived my entire life until my husband and I moved away in 1989 for his job. Escalon I loved Escalon, and Modesto was always our go-to place for shopping, for doctors, for everything. I loved it. Always thought this whole area was beautiful in its own way. When we had the opportunity to move back, which is basically in my heart what I always wanted to do, I was terribly disappointed with what Modesto has become and how it's grown so much. Okay, there's always going to be growth. I understand that. But I don't know whose idea it was to have this auto row all along McHenry Avenue. And there are just so many things that are just so unfortunate about this. We need more trees, like the previous speaker was saying. We need more trees. We don't need more pavement. I attended Modesto Junior College and worked in law offices in Modesto and Superior Court. I was a relief roving clerk in Superior Court. And I am just really concerned about the water situation. I was speaking to someone from Oakdale, a cattle ranching woman, who said that the wells are collapsing over there. And I don't know where all the water is going to come from for these subdivisions, for all these new houses. And the idea of piping the sewage under the river to a sewage disposal site, it just sounds like a recipe for disaster. I'm really concerned for the future of Modesto and for the children. I don't understand how you can want to keep paving over this wonderful farmland. We need farms, we need ranches, we need food. And when at a recent meeting that was, there was Mr. Berryhill's person that was conducting the meeting, when I said, where are you going to grow the food? Where are we supposed to be growing the food? And he said, oh, you can just go down to Safeway or Save Mart. I thought that was a lovely response. Anyway, that's, I just think it's horrible. I can't understand how you don't care more about the children, the future, to want to have them have more orchards. And it's just the way it was when I grew up, and we still have orchards, and let's stop the growth now. Thank you.
Dan Whitstone?
We live on McHenry Avenue. The back of our property overlooks the river bottom where the Riverwalk is proposed. The house is back in the property. Away from McHenry. It's so quiet and peaceful out there. The river bottom is just a nice site to look at. Of course, the proposal is going to have a 4-lane entranceway right next to our property into this project. We're going to be looking at houses and, I guess, retail shops. Why? Does Riverbank need that? Don't they have all that out across the roads and in that direction? I just question why we need to replace all this farmland with housing and shopping and things. So, thank you.
Jamie Akers?
Good evening, LAFCO commissioners and staff. My name is Jamie Yeagers. I'm a property owner and resident of 7730 McHenry Avenue for nearly 40 years now. I live within the proposed project area of Riverwalk, bounded by McHenry Avenue on its west boundary and Patterson Road on the south. Our parcel and all of our neighbors' parcels are listed in the notice of preparation, yet none of us received notification that the NOP was coming out. Nor did we receive notification of a Zoom meeting for the project that took place in mid-June. This is very concerning. We opposed the very similar Groupie project back in 2008 and want to go on record as opposing this project as well. And we urge you to vote no on the sphere of influence increase of another 1,500 acres when it comes before you. As you are aware, Riverbank's sphere of influence was increased 1,500 acres just 5 short years ago, an increase that's intended to cover at least a 20-year planning horizon. Thank you for your consideration.
Barney Akers?
Gentlemen, you already know where I live, 7730 McHenry Avenue, on the perimeter of this proposed project. We finally obtained and read the NOP and are even more opposed to this project than we were at the last LAFCO meeting. This project is more than just 2,700 homes. Page 10 on the NOP allows for up to a 25% growth above that figure, up to 3,375 homes, as well as many commercial businesses included in this project. A park and walking trails behind our home that would attract homeless folks and the associated crimes that go with that. We've had homeless encampments across the street, and we know what comes along with it. The water wells that will provide storage for 2 million gallons of water concern us. They would be drawing off of our aquifer as well as approximately 60 other neighboring wells. What's going to happen when my well dries up? The developer will be long gone. I've talked with Dr. Vance Kennedy about who's a local hydrologist, and he has grave concerns about this project going through. It's a groundwater recharge area, and if you pave it over with homes, you lose all that recharge potential. What will the impact be? I've already covered that on the other. I'm calling this project Little Wood Colony East. And I do that because it is so similar to what went down on Wood Colony in the recent past. I would really expect that this project to be as critical to preserve as far as farmland as the Wood Colony expansion was. I ask you to vote no when the time comes to vote on this expansion. Thank you.
Karen Conrato? Probably said it wrong, sorry.
Hi, my name is Karen Gerber-Conrado. I live at 524 Hogue Road. Good evening to all of you commissioners. I'm going to really bullet. I think you've heard all of these arguments earlier. I'm not going to expand on very many of them. I do want to say that you know the logistics, you've heard the statistics, and I think that you know deep in your heart that this is not where this project needs to go. For many, many reasons. The primary one for me would be that it's designated prime agricultural land. It's highly productive land. Another reason would be the water table, the water, groundwater that would be depleted. That would also affect the surrounding wells. And if they go dry, who would be responsible for that, for replacing them? This water recharge area is very unique in the world, in Stanislaus County, in this state of California even. It's, I also talked to the hydrologist, Vance Kennedy, and he talks about the permeability and how unique this soil is from the granite from the mountains that allows the water to percolate through the soil into the aquifers, and that even the sedimentary rock has created spaces for this water to be allowed to be stored. If that water is depleted and those aquifers collapse, they will never be able to hold storage water again. You know, we're talking about very serious consequences for forever, for the generations forever beyond us. I have concerns with the sewerage, with water waste, liquid and solid. Transportation issues with congestion that's already there. They've already widened the bridge, and they're going to be widening McHenry, but that won't be adequate. I'm sure that you're aware of that already. There's already accidents that will increase. There's air, water, soil, sound, light, pollution concerns. There's the leapfrogging and the annexation that will come with that, where people will have to fight to stay in the county for both River Heights and Park Bridge. And if this Riverwalk goes through, we're talking about Hogue Road and McHenry as well, of course, and Clarabelle and Patterson. There's a riparian corridor that's very beautiful, and wildlife that goes with that would need to be protected. There's a timer. Okay, thank you very much for listening and for this opportunity to address.
Thank you. Kathy Spannel?
Hi, my name is Kathy Spinell.
Sorry.
I live at 4737 Tully Road. In fact, I live in the same house I was born and raised in. My son Greg is a farmer, fourth generation farmer. And he is farming the same ground that my grandfather farmed 100 years ago. I'm here today to speak about, on behalf of that which has no voice, and that's our great farmland that we have here. I'll keep my comments brief. We're talking about a valuable resource here, and that's great farmland. Great farmland cannot be manufactured. Can't make it. I suppose you could take some really good fertilizer, some nutrients, some water, stick it on some really bad soil, and it might become passable, but it's not going to become great. And that's what we have here in the Central Valley. I'm not a builder, I'm not an architect, so I'm not an expert. But I'm fairly certain you can build a house just about anywhere. But that's not the case for an almond tree, a grapevine, or walnut tree. It just doesn't work that way. So, one question, it's really a very simple question. Why are you so eager to take more and more of this valuable resource that we have in our farmland? Why are you wanting to take it away? To circle back real quick, my son is farming that soil, and that soil has been farmed for 100 years, maybe more. And that soil has continually given back to our community every day, every day. So I just ask that you give it the respect that it deserves. Thank you.
Susan Wedge-Gertner? Help me on that one. Brutal. You can say my name wrong, it's okay.
Hi, I'm Susan Weedy-Gartner. I live at the corner of Telly and Kernan. In fact, I was here last month at I want to call it the BOT because I'm on a board of trustees, at the Board of Supervisors meeting when they approved a 300,000 square foot building at Telly and Kernan, the southeast corner. I was opposed to that. I'm opposed to that. Opposed to that then, and I'm opposed to this Riverwalk. When will taking our farmland stop? It's got to stop. We have reports out there that our farmland, the soil is prime 1. I can't add much more than everyone else has added. It affects the river when you put all those houses down there on that river bottom. The wells, we all know that wells are going dry at times. The farmers, we just feel like we're being attacked. because we have all these projects now that are hitting us. It was less than a week after we heard the news at the Board of Supervisors, I was here for that meeting, like I said, that they approved that 300,000 square foot building, that now another building wants to go in, right behind me. So I'm now opposing that, to be quite honest with you. I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm letting you know where things are moving out there, and it's not for the good. It really isn't, guys. And I don't know if you actually go out and look at the property. I know you have people that do a lot of research for you and that kind of stuff, but I don't know if you really go out and walk the land and see what we're talking about. You know, because once you lose a tree and you plant a building, you can never plant a farm again. You have the cement and everything else, or asphalt and the wood and everything from a house that now destroys this precious farmland. And that's what we want you to hear, is that farmland is precious to us. So I hope you please consider our plea and not take our farmland. Okay? Thank you very much.
All right, I have no other cards. Is there anyone else who didn't fill one out? Please just come up and let us know who you are, please.
Hi there. I'm not going to tell you my name because I don't want anybody mad at me. No, my name's Fred Walton, and I've got some ideas too. I don't say anybody's ideas are wrong, but I'd like to think about 100 years ahead. How do we want this place to look in 100 years? My parents came to Hogue Road because it was country, and they bought a ranchette, a 10-acre ranchette. And they wanted some elbow space, and they wanted to do their little agricultural product, things, grow trees, horses, sheep, cows, things like that, 4-H, and raise their family. I think that dream is still valid. You see Wycliffe, you see Del Rio, you see Park Ridge. That's the nature of that area. It's not high-density nature. It's not meant to be. If we have to subdivide, we certainly don't need tract homes down below our bluff, looking at blacktop, looking at cement, rooftops, noise. And it's a very, very, very beautiful area. Very beautiful river bottom. River bottoms are meant for farming, golf courses, soccer fields. And the nature of river bottoms do flood on occasion. But I've come to a compromise. The people back there don't like me. Bill and his group don't like me. But I think ranchettes are the way to go. I think 2 to 20 acre ranchettes, 5, 10, and 15 acre ranchettes, the same dream that the Gerbers had, Barney and his wife had, Bill Berryhill and his parents had. The ranchettes are still valid for that area. If it floods, there's not as many houses for people to clear. And also, it's future farmers of America, future ranchers of America will develop off these small ranchettes. And they can do all different sorts of agriculture. But if it has to be developed, and I don't know if the Californians are going to learn to preserve their precious farmlands because the population's so thick, I think that would be the negotiation between high density and keeping it as farm. Also, I have great concerns about the river. We need to protect the river more so than what the project has stated. We need to do something a little smarter than Sacramento. We need to not build homes within 1,000, 1,200 feet of the river. And that kills about 6 birds with 1 stone. Protects habitat, protects environment. Also for flooding, we can have trails for bikes, horses, whatever. And just one more thing. If we go with septic tanks versus, mucking up that river, putting a steel pipe underneath it for sewer, septic tanks work well. They worked real well on these ranchettes. They're a great invention. We don't have to monkey with the environment. So that's what I propose. Thank you.
Anyone else who didn't fill out a card wishing to speak before I close the public? Yes, sir, come on up.
I'm Matt Veneman. I live on Hogue Road. Within the sphere of this Riverwalk project, 3 quick points that are concerns. Traffic congestion being the first. Adding 4,000 to 5,000 extra cars in our area is going to make a bad situation way worse. We wait a long time, sometimes on Hogue Road, to be able to get onto McHenry right now. Sometimes Stewart is a mess. Adding that many more cars to this area without massive infrastructure to handle it is going to mess up from McHenry to Hogue to Stewart to River Road in San Joaquin County to Patterson and Coffee Road. It's just going to happen. And frankly, I don't have a ton of faith that Riverbank, judging by their past, is going to handle their traffic correctly or well. All their intersections are a mess, and they've never been known to be proactive in that regard. Sphere of influence. We had no idea this was coming at us, and we moved out there. When we moved out there, the thought was, who's going to move out here? What city is going to move this direction? You have a floodplain behind us, and you have this sliver of land on top. And we specifically moved out to this area to not be involved in any city's sphere of influence. And we're kind of a green belt. I mean, who's going to move right up to Del Rio? I'm surprised they're not here, to be honest. Along with that, building within a floodplain. Over 600 acres of this project is located in an area that FEMA has listed either as a high or a moderate flood hazard. High being, they expect you have a 1% chance it's going to flood. So you have a 1 in 4% chance it's going to flood during your 30-year mortgage. And then a large section is considered moderate, meaning it's somewhere between that 1% and I think 0.2% is the number. But we all know it doesn't feel like it right now, but it's going to flood again. Someday, somehow, it's coming. It always does. Developer's going to be gone. Taxpayers are going to have the burden. It just doesn't make sense to cover up a floodplain. I just don't understand it. So thank you for your time.
Last call. Anyone else? All right, thank you all for coming. We'll close the public comment period and move on.
Madam Chair, can I ask
Certainly.
Sarah a question?
Sarah.
Just about the notice of preparation is out, and can you explain the process? I think they probably know the process, but what has to be done before it can come to LAFCO?
So the notice of preparation is a notice that lets the public know and other agencies know that Riverbank is planning on putting together a draft environmental impact report. So that draft environmental impact report, that's the next step. It'll have its own public comment period for folks to submit letters. The draft EIR should cover some of the topics that we heard this evening, and folks can comment on whether or not they agree or disagree with the environmental determinations that document makes. That document also has to go to the city's planning commission and city council, so there's opportunities for public comment during those hearings, and that's all prior to getting to LAFCO. The city has to adopt a final EIR with its determinations, along with, I think you heard some other elements of the project listed, pre-zoning, subdivision, rezoning, whatever they're doing, whatever they're going to bring to us. We don't know if they're going to bring it to us as one package, as a sphere and an annexation, or just a sphere. We're kind of watching along with these folks to see when it actually hits the city council meeting.
And then just a time frame then, if everything were as Riverbank wants, where do you see that coming to us? Sorry.
It's hard to say, and it's hard to say how far along they are in their drafting of the EIR. But I mean, we've seen it where we get an NOP for a project and then we don't actually get an application until a year later, sometimes 2 years later. I don't know how far along they are. Once it does get to us, if it's a completed application, we have to hear it within 90 days. So there's a little bit of lead time there, and we send noticing out to not only folks that have already registered with us that they're an interested party, but we also send out a notice to every registered voter and property owner within the area and those within 300 feet. So if you're not within the project area or within 300 feet, make sure that you drop us an email, drop us a note to make sure that you're on the list to get a notice from us.
And that would just be when it's coming to us at that point. So
Right.
prior to that, there's going to be, like I said, the Planning Commission in Riverbank, the City Council meetings in Riverbank. So if you're, and it sounds frustrating if you're not receiving notices at this point, which you should be. The next step, I guess, would be to watch the Planning Commission agendas, watch the City Council agendas in the City of Riverbank.
And I think there's already been, Modesto has commented on this in Stanislaus County, I think, right?
I think so.
Yeah, at least to the notice of preparation.
Yeah, to the NOP, so.
So more to come.
All right, thank you so much for all that. Let's move on to approval of minutes, the minutes of July 28th, 2021. Is there any question or motion?
Can I just say something on the notice of preparation that happened in Riverbank?
Can you just have like maybe a side conversation with maybe Javier or somebody? So, because we, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, I got you.
So I guess I come to the next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
In pertaining to the minutes, have we read them? Is there a motion?
I'm ready. Motion to approve the minutes?
Do we have a motion and a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'd say again. All right, then it passes 4-0. Thank you. Correspondence.
There's no correspondence other than what's listed on your agenda tonight.
Great. Do you want to talk about anything with the Cal LAFCO quarterly, anything of that stuff?
Yeah, I'll mention it later.
Okay, you got it. Declaration of conflicts and disqualifications. Looking right, looking left, hearing and seeing none. Consent items. We have 3 items of consent. If there's no one in the public wishing to speak to any of them, if you are here for a consent item, just raise your hand real quick so we know. Okay, then what is the will of?
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and nays? All right, passes 4-0. Public hearing. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Did somebody have his hand up?
Yeah, I thought he had his hand up back there.
It's because she asked if there was anyone in the audience here for the consent calendar.
Oh, did you had one you wanted to speak to? Okay.
No, he was just,
He's got the right badge.
no, he was, never mind.
He's just waiting. Gotcha. Like, go on. Yeah, I got you. Okay, public hearing, out-of-boundary service application, Price Ford and Honda Ford, City of Turlock Sewer and Water Service.
Okay, good evening, Javier Camarena with LAFCO. The item being discussed this evening is an out-of-boundary, take my mask off, sorry. Out-of-boundary service application from the City of Turlock to provide sewer and water services to an existing car dealership and future car dealership. The territory is located at 5200 and 5202 North Golden State Boulevard, south of Barnhart Road, east of Highway 99, and north of Taylor Road and the City of Turlock. So just to give the commission a little background on this project, Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors approved an auto dealership as part of rezone application for Price Honda in August of this year. At the adjacent site is an existing Price Ford dealership. That dealership has on-site. That dealership's on-site water has had ongoing violations with maximum contaminant level, or MCL, for arsenic. A condition of approval was placed on the project that prohibits connection to the existing water system until the MCL is in compliance. In December of 2020, Stanislaus County and the City of Turlock adopted a tax sharing agreement which establishes that the city is willing to provide sewer and water services to both the existing Ford and Honda dealership. Government Code Section 56133 specifies that a city must obtain LAFCO approval prior to providing services outside of its boundaries. The commission may authorize the service extensions in the following situations. For proposals within a city's sphere of influence, if it's in anticipation of a later change of organization, or if for proposals outside the city's sphere of influence, it is to respond to health and safety issue. Consistent with LAFCO policies and procedures, Policy 15C of LAFCO's policies and procedures provides situations where the commission may favorably consider service extensions. These situations can be found on page 2 of the EO report and include situations where the public agencies have a formal agreement defining service areas, or emergency or health-related conditions mitigate against waiting for annexation. Consistent with this section, the city and county have an approved tax sharing agreement that recognizes the city of Turlock as a likely sewer and water service provider for the 2 parcels. Also, the Price Ford site is currently in violation of MCL for arsenic. Approval of the request will allow the site to remedy these health and safety concerns. Policy 15D of our policies and procedures allows for service extensions outside the city's sphere of influence if there is an existing or impending threat to public health and safety, and meets one or more of the following criteria. The first, the lack of service constitutes an existing or impending health and safety concern. 2, the property is developed. Or 3, no future services will be permitted without LAFCO approval. Both the existing and proposed dealership sites are outside of Turlock's sphere of influence, but as mentioned previously, the Price Ford site is in violation of MCL for arsenic, and Turlock is willing to provide sewer and water services to both sites. Stanislaus County, as lead agency, prepared an initial study and adopted a negative declaration for Price Honda, and the city of Turlock determined that the extension of services is exempt from CEQA. Staff's recommendation can be found on page 4 of the Executive Officer's Report. Approval would allow for the extension of water and sewer services to accommodate existing and future uses at the Price Ford and Price Honda sites. Any additional connections outside of the city limits and on additional parcels would require additional LAFCO approval. That concludes my presentation, and staff is available for questions.
Questions for staff?
Just comments.
Okay, we'll open it to the public. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? All right, closing public comment, bringing it back for comments and discussion.
I just want to recognize the applicant, James Figuerel, and Katie Quintero, is she Municipal Services Star? Yes, very helpful in this whole process. And this has been a long time coming. We have a good partnership between the county and the city of Turlock, and I'm very supportive of this out-of-boundary sphere based on health and safety.
And I would agree. Thank you for your patience. I know, James, you've been like, okay, you guys, are you going to talk to each other? I don't want to put any excuses. We're here now, and we'll move forward. So thank you for that, and thank you for being here, Katie. What's the will of my colleagues?
Motion to approve.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous. Thank you all. That's a 4-0. Moving on to other business, there is none. Commissioners' comments, do you have any?
I do not, thank you.
No? Commissioner comments? Additional matters, I have none. And on to Executive Officer's Report.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that piece of correspondence earlier in your packet had noted that the Cal-AFCO annual conference has been canceled this year, unfortunately. They're doing some online workshops to hopefully replace some of the sessions, so we'll share that with you once those are released. We have 2 upcoming applications, one for a district detachment and one for the formation of a district. We are waiting for them to be completed and submitted to us, so we're keeping that October 27th date as tentative at this point. I'll update you if we're going to cancel that and maybe move some business items to our next meeting.
October's harvest.
Maybe we will.
Let's cancel.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so we know the next meeting may or may not be on October 27th, and this is meeting is over. It's adjourned. Thank you so much.